So it's time to check out the Filmmakers Roundtable by the Hollywood Reporter India with Anupama Chopra, and all the directors they have got are some of the directors whose films I really enjoyed this year. Beat Imtiaz Ali for Chamkila, C. Prem Kumar for Meiyazhagan. We have the director of Lucky Bhaskar, we have the director of Amran, we have the director of Uluduk and Lapata Ladies. Now some we have heard them before, but some of them are first time we'll be hearing, about talking them we'll be hearing them talk about their film for the first time in a platform like this. That too in English. So pretty excited to check it out. If you haven't seen the original, I'll put the link in the description. You can check it out there. There's a reaction to it. It's not a substitute. I'll be pausing in the middle talking. So do note that. Anupam Chopra is a very good interviewer. So looking forward to what are the questions she asked. By the way, the channel membership is live. If you really enjoy the content, if you want to support the channel, you can become a member. Get to watch videos early and some member only videos such as song reactions. So no more, click on the join button and let's check this out.
Welcome everyone to the Hollywood Reporter India's Directors Roundtable 2024.
And it is a round table.
We are here
Oval, but yeah, it
to
is table.
celebrate some of the finest films of the year. I couldn't get everyone I wanted on the table, but I am so thrilled to have all of you here.
That's a lot of people though.
I want us to start by celebrating Imtiaz.
First of all, no food, only water bottle. That's because they are sponsors, I guess. So, but no food. Most of the times you have food, but most of the time they are not even eating it. So maybe post the shoot they eat it, or maybe don't eat it. So it's gone to waste, or the production people eat it later. But it's always fascinating. I think they should always, if they're having food, show us later who's eating, what they're eting. That'd be fun.
Oh, why is that?
Why? Because Imtiaz, you finish 20 years in the movies in 2020.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Nice, amazing. I didn't know that. Thanks for telling me.
Socha na tha, 2005.
Okay.
Right.
Next year is 2 decades.
Amazing.
And Chamkila is your 9th feature.
Right.
And what an amazing return.
By the way, either he didn't get the memo or he didn't care because he's the only one wearing black out of all of them. All of them are wearing white. And I'm guessing they were told to maybe wear white if possible because the background is black. So
to form, what an amazing exploration of the life of an artist, the nature of fame, the relationship between audiences, censorship.
yeah.
I have to ask this, Imtiaz, because it's something that I'm just very, very curious about and fascinated by. That in these 20 years of telling stories, what have you discovered about how a director loses form and regains it? Because the 2 films before this didn't land, right?
That's
Is the man
interesting
who
question.
directed those films different from the man who directed Chamkila? I don't know what happens.
Well, I feel that while you will make different kinds of films,
Oh, this is nice. Adding some context.
and for different
Didn't watch both of them.
reasons and thoughts in your mind, the ones that are a bit more schemed, that look more smart as a package, and that the market says, हाँ ये बहुत सही है, ये तो एकदम गोली के जैसा चलेगा. Those films, like when you're thinking of it in a schematic manner, it doesn't work for a director, I feel. It didn't work for me. When I think of it in its purity and try to retain as much of the purity of the thought as possible in the film, that has worked for me.
So this is something a director can control.
Yeah, yes, and the vision, the purity. I think all of us try to be smart and try to package our films in a way that will be market friendly, that will have more, commercial success. And you sometimes take decisions for it, and you have to balance it out. It's not an absolute thing, but the less you try to balance out and be smart, I feel is better. The more
Because I think Harry Met Sejal was kind of not the same film as Harry Met Sally, whatever that Hollywood film is. I don't know. But it was Shah Rukh Khan, him doing a love story with Imtiaz Ali, one of the best romantic directors, one of the most reputed romantic hero coming together. It just didn't work, and then he did Love Ajkal 2, Love Ajkal, whatever it was called. It again tried to recreate what he had done previously. So you could tell that these were not original, maybe ideas. Or maybe he had an interesting idea, but it became more about, the hero or the sequel than actually telling a honest story.
you really listen to yourself, because when you're alone and you're thinking about a story, you feel that, nahi yaar, isko to, I think I should do it this way. But there is a commercial pressure in my mind, mostly. It's not as though somebody else tells you. You only try to be smart. So I feel it's better not to be smart. It's better to be just like dumbly dedicated, submitted to what the vision truly is.
Nice. Nice. You know, I have to tell you guys, before Chamkila dropped on Netflix, I interviewed Imtiaz and Diljit, right? And I was trying to talk to Diljit about constructing his performance and whether he was, looking at it from the externals, getting the walk right and the hair right and the sort of look right, and then moving to the essence of the man, or getting the essence and then moving to the external. So I said to him कि आप external से internal जा रहे थे या internal से external जा रहे थे, and he said जी मैं तो सिर्फ set पे जा रहा था. Just laughed. He said मैंने सोचा इम्तियाज अली ने ले लिया अपानू, अब इम्तियाज जाने उसका काम जाने, like, which is just lovely. But I want to talk to all of you about extracting performances. Like Rajkumar, Sai Pallavi and Amran. You have this scene at the end where Indu is told that her husband, Major Mukund, is dead.
Yeah, man. She, for me, was a standout. Yes, it's Sivakarthikeyan's film, and he's doing that title character's role and all of that. But I think her performance just elevates the film for me.
And obviously, it's devastating and she breaks down. But
And it's hard, crying is hard, I have to say. It's like you want to get it right, but you also want to hit that emotion, but you don't want to be overdone. Like, okay, this is too much. You could just disconnect totally. You need to, for us to, as an audience, feel what she's going through and not just see, oh, she's crying. That's it. That should not be the case.
Cinematic crying. It's like a gut-wrenching scene, and what she did is just incredible, and you don't move the camera, you just stay on her, and her face is visibly getting
I didn't
red.
like one thing in this scene, that the camera is on her, and I'm guessing they shot the whole sequence with her in one single take, but we cut to a reaction shot of the person telling her, and then we come back to her, and I was like, maybe don't cut, just let the screen, camera on her throughout, like that whole one take. Of course, it's still a one take, but that cut makes it, a different shot. But if just cut was not there, just camera just stays on her, just follow what she's doing. That'd been epic.
And you can see that. And at one point, she touches her heart like it's a physical blow. What was your brief?
The brief was actually all of that. What you see in that, it's already written on paper. So she goes through the script like a Bible, and she reads that. She imbibes the entire scene. And that was actually a very ordinary day at shoot before preparing for that scene. But when we went there, we had 3 takes of it. The first take is the one that we see. So the first take was the best take. And if you notice, there's also some, there is some focus issue in the shot. We have tried to push as much as possible in the DI, and we have retained that take, the okay take, the take that made me happy. I mean, all 3 takes are good. Still, we went with the first take because that was immediately after the brief. So she has come prepared for that particular scene, and it was shot in one afternoon time after a lunch session. So she was prepared for it. The brief was, it is actually what we see, it is a single take. I mean, it's a single shot. We had actually, in the edit, we had intercut it with the brother's reaction.
This is what I was talking about. I wish it wasn't the case.
So, firstly, she shouldn't, because she has had an occasion in the film, I mean, in the script, where he has already been hit by a bullet. So, her mind doesn't process that he is a person who will actually die. She's not prepared for that. Though she's prepared mentally, but we don't imagine the worst scenario.
Yeah.
So, firstly, she should not process the death. She should think, okay, something happened to my dad. Okay, now that's not the case. Okay, he said, so what? So what? Let me go fetch my keys. He'll be admitted in some hospital. So then she goes and calls. She doesn't believe. She feels he is immortal.
Yeah.
And After making the call also, she doesn't realize. Then after attempting for the second time to that person,
That's interesting that he said script, right? So that means he wrote all these, like the formation of, it's not just, oh, the actress will cry now and that the actress decide how she wants to. It's like, no, she feels this, she's not believing it, she makes a call, but, and then it suddenly hits her and then she breaks down and then she touches her chest, as in she's feel like, that means he wrote all of it.
then she realizes, okay, now it's true. And so it's about realizing. It's about realizing a lot of things. Then she realizes that he's not coming back, he's actually dead. So she breaks down and she sits. After sitting, she has to again realize, okay, I'm not supposed to cry.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Because she's made that promise.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not supposed to cry.
Yeah.
I'm not able to control my tears. And now it's coming out from my system. What do I do? Oh, this guy is watching. Though he's my brother, he's watching. No, I'm not supposed to cry. And then she controls. So then she lets out that last drop of tear. Then she composes herself. So this is what is written in the actual
So
scene
you'd
paper
written all
also.
the beats in your script.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. For action and emotions, yes, always.
Well, listen, all the audience, I saw it in a theater. I saw the Tamil version with English subs, and like everyone was just weeping. And this is an end we know. It's based on a real life story. We knew what was going to happen, and it was just gut-wrenching.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
When we have great performers like Sai Pallavi, I think the work gets easier. It is just about placing the camera and capture their performance emotions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And firstly, I think I should have started my speech with it, but since the question was thrown, I had to answer for it.
We're gonna say hi to everyone. This is what he did.
I'm very
Other one
excited
also.
to be in the same panel as where Imtiaz Ali sir is here.
Okay.
Of course, Kiran ma'am. Yes. So we have seen great performances in his films, be it Rockstar, be it Tamasha, be it Highway, and Love Aajkal. So many films. Yes, sir. We are all huge fans of your work. Everyone would agree. Yes, sir. Even your latest series, which you produced, I think, She.
Yeah.
Even that was brilliant.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
He watches a lot of
Performances-wise
stuff.
and
Huh?
Also,
Thank you.
screenplay, everything was very.
He's actually now doing, I think, in Bollywood film, like not Bollywood film, production house in Bollywood is now doing his next film. So that's great.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. For
Is this
having
the
us
part
over
of
here.
the 20-year celebration?
It is. We're kicking it off here.
Thank you, Raj.
Of course, Kiran ma'am's Lapta Ladies this year and Dhobi Ghat. I've liked both
Wow.
the films.
Yeah.
I'm very glad to have met her here.
Venky, you started as an actor.
Oh, I didn't know
He
that.
tells this very funny story in an interview about how, the first film came easily as an actor, and he did it, but it didn't do well, right?
It tanked.
It tanked.
It just ran for one show. I still remember.
Oh dear.
Oh my
Just
god.
one show. Just one show.
Oh, wow.
But what killed me was that you said that I couldn't make peace with it. I was really like, whatever, not acknowledging that it had tanked. And he said his father said to him, "You fool, you can't act." God bless Indian parents.
Yeah.
I still remember that day. I have not made peace with the film's result, and I was still pursuing. I was still doing those auditions and everything. And slowly, after a week or two, he came and asked, "What are you doing?" I'm going to this office for audition. For what? For audition. You fool, you can't act. Even if someone comes with a knife, stands in front of you, you can't emote. That's you. Just accept it.
So here's my question. It's amazing that you can't actually do this, right?
Yes.
But you can extract a performance from somebody else. And of course, Dulquer is a very fine actor. But what you had him do in Lucky Bhaskar was, it's a tightrope act, right? He has to be charming. He's still doing illegal things. But we're rooting for him. And at one point, he's also not a very nice man. He becomes arrogant. He becomes difficult. He's rude. He's nasty. But we're still rooting for him till the end. What was the skill of kind of getting that out of him?
So basically, there's one scene in the first half where he almost loses everything, and he almost loses his job that he's he's feeding his family with. So that's when he'll just go on, tries to catch the the boss's feet. And at that point, I could see the auditorium, connect with the character. And from that point, I think audience have started.
I feel like I recently, like in my review also of Lucky Bhaskar, and I cut out a reel out of it. I talked about why DQ works in a Telugu film like this, and it works really well because he doesn't bring any baggage of being a massy Telugu star. Like he's a star. He's not like an unknown face. He's a star. He already made his mark with Sitaramam in Telugu at least, and people know him for that. But they are not expecting him to do action and mass and this and that. So that sequence when he does it, you really connect with it. Like I cannot imagine a Telugu star who has done massive films and action films and all of that able to pull that off. An audience, like, because the audience would go in there that he will be like punching or building the massive slow-mo walk and all of that, but this film doesn't give that. It has that massive feeling where there's some quirky smiles and this and that, and he uh uses his smartness and all of those things and the cool moments where he outsmarts other people, but they are not that massive of that action hype kind of a thing. So that's why I felt DQ doing it makes more sense than getting another Telugu actor who does mass and has that big name, star name.
Rooting for him. And that one particular scene, I clearly asked him because there will be a few actors who are not ready, who won't be comfortable doing that part, holding someone's feet and all. So I knew, I narrated the story to him. I told him this is what the scene is. He didn't wink. Okay. Now this is the day where we are shooting that scene. So I went up to him in his caravan. I was asking him, sir, yes, tell me, Venky. So you have to do this. Is that okay, or should I? No, are you mad? I love that. I'll do that. And that's when it just gave me a relief. And when he was doing it, the cameraman, the whole unit, even the actors who were behind him, they were like feeling for this character. And after he does that, he comes back and looks at the whole office, staring at him. That's when he loses respect. That's when he feels ashamed. Okay, this is the lowest point of his life. And he just goes into the washroom, washes everything away. He comes back into the office with a smiling face. That actually shows how a middle class man's life is. No matter how much you struggle on that particular moment, or in that particular moment, you just have to put up that a smiling face because you have a family to feed.
Yeah.
And keep at it.
So I think that's what really worked for the film.
I also want to talk
He kind of looks like DQ from that angle, though.
A little bit about how you find the rhythm of a film. Kiran, you've talked about how at the beginning, because you hadn't directed a comedy before, you were sort of not being able to get the exact rhythm of Lapata, right? And you said that the first few test screenings were actually
not very good.
Yeah, they were not very good. And then you and the editor, Jabin Merchant, sat and reworked it all. What is the rhythm of a film, and how does a director know when you found it?
It's hard to say until you actually sort of watch it with an audience. I really feel it gives you a really great sense of what's working and what's not, especially because all of us want to release our films in cinemas and for audiences. We are not making necessarily just artistic films that we want to take only to festivals, for instance. So it gives you a great insight into when people begin to move, when they're not laughing at a great joke, and also just the rhythm of being able to watch something yourself sitting in an audience. You begin to see, patterns, like you feel, when...
And by the way, it is now it's out of the race, by the way. It didn't get shortlisted, so...
Your pace is slowing down. So actually, focus group or test screenings really helped us arrive at the right, rhythm. Find the humor in the film, because at the end of the day, it took literally chopping out the first 5 minutes of the film for it to actually feel like a comedy at all. Because on paper it worked great the way we had written it, but in the edit, no matter how tightly we cut the first 10 minutes, it just didn't feel like a comedy. It didn't settle into a, a kind of a lighter, more pacey.
I think even music helps a lot because just her telling, I'm remembering the first few moments, and the music, like, like very light music is playing, little comic, like it has that feeling, light-hearted, and like it comedy kind of, things that's happening. It's very, humorous kind of thing. So that kind of also like pushes the audience in that direction.
More happy vibe.
Yeah.
And we had the benefit and luxury of testing it. I think that really helps. It also means killing lots of darlings. I was really sad because there was a whole song that we had to cut out of the first 10 minutes. But we did it, and we got another song in instead, which I also love. So, yeah, I think testing and watching with an audience helps a lot.
Good. Prem, you've had the most unique experience of this sort of watching with an audience, reworking. I mean, for me, Meiyazhagan is just such a lovely film, right? But
It got
a situation
edited.
where you release a film, the critics love it, box office doesn't perform, and you cut 18 minutes of this film, even though your producers,
He was not
Surya
happy,
and
right?
Jyotika, said, don't do it. But you said, no, I need to kind of work with the audience, meet them halfway. And from 357, you cut out 18 minutes of this amazing conversation that your two leads are having. And then it makes a profit. And then it comes...
Like, I'm also part of that group, that small group of people who saw the original version in theaters, because I saw the first day only. It was playing with subtitles, and I saw, like, yeah, even my review, I talked about, like, particularly those scenes in second half, which I actually cut out, that I didn't get it. Like, like it was nice to see. It's like more between them talking about more things, but I don't know what is trying to say. And I think a lot of other people who saw that said that it's lagging. There was no point of these sequences. I think that's why they cut it off.
On streaming, and everybody loves it and raves about it. How did you process the highs and lows of this? I mean, this is like test screening at another level.
After release.
I mean, at that time, it was very difficult. Very, very difficult, because the 18 minutes that I chopped from Meiyazhagan, that was the most important part of the film.
Why do you say that?
Because that is what actually speaks about that character Meiyazhagan, his nature. Because there is
Spoilers.
an assumption that innocent people are ignorant. So that portion actually breaks that. He's not an ignorant person. He's just innocent. He has got his own social, political views. He's aware of what is happening. And he's also aware that he's being cheated. So all that he knows. So that irony I wanted to prove in those scenes. But that scene, be it the social or political message that it spoke about, actually people couldn't connect. That is what, at least I assume, that is what came under slight criticism from even reviewers. And in the first 3 days, it
actually, I don't know if he would say that. Actually, there were people who missed those 18 minutes, who had already watched it. I think later weeks, they missed few moments from those 18 minutes also. So I would say, of course, with due respect to what ma'am said about the focus group screening, even we do all of that. We play the film to different sets of people. But I think until it goes to the final set of audience, no sampling is the right sampling. I mean, you will have a feeler. I mean, I'm just 2 films old. As far as I know, I think the audience are the best judge, and films are not made just for those release weekends alone, I feel. So
I think
nowadays
it's how
become
many
very
people you
habitual.
test it with also. What kind of people, because what we tend to do is do very broad numbers. So if you test it for, say, 200, 300 people, like Dangal, we tested for a lot of people before and it's not like you take all the feedback, but it's slowly over time you get a sense of what is working and what is not. Just lets you do it before you come to a stage when audiences say reject it.
Sometimes there's this risk in Chennai. I mean, once you project your film to many people, the charm around that project, the aura around the project. Sometimes the news goes out, like, you know,
Right.
it's a very
Within
small...
the grapevine in the industry, everyone's talking. Sure, sure.
So I just wanted to add this point that the vital scene, whichever he was, I mean, sometimes, you know, creators are made to feel conscious, like it is working, it is not working, you should have some comedy, you should have a dance number, you should have this, that, when we make it to the mainstream theaters. So that way, I think audience have always been really kind, and they always connect with, beyond languages, I think they connect with the content and the emotions.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Absolutely. But Prem, do you regret taking those scenes out?
I do a lot because
I think what I heard was the producers asked him and he was not even told something like that. But I'm guessing Surya and Jyotika were producers, they would not do that. And they said don't. And he only did it himself. So it's understandable.
in the second week, in the social media, of course, I'm not active on social media, but I got all those screenshots. I could understand it better. Actually, there was a big fight going. Like, it is because of you people he had to trim those scenes. And there were another set of people who were saying, like, we are the lucky ones who could see those scenes. And I could get so many people coming to my house, and they were literally threatening me. We are ready to watch. Why don't you just add it now? At least for the third week we can watch. And when it came to the OTT platform, even then, like, everyone were insisting, please don't give us the original version. But we couldn't. So then we had to release it as a deleted scene. Again, like...
But that's not solves the problem, right? Having those scenes within the... Like, either you, like, download the film, you know, from various things. I don't know what... But yeah. And edit it yourself and put those sequences where they're supposed to. And then watch it. Then only it makes sense. But otherwise, yeah, deleted scenes just being there. They're also not subtitled, by the way. So... yeah, it doesn't have that same impact.
I was criticized more for trimming.
Yeah.
So you just can't win.
What a story.
That's crazy. So you cut it in the second week. After
The third day it got updated.
Third day.
On
So
the day of
first-
release, we trimmed, but we couldn't update it because it takes a
Oh,
certain
day of release. So actually you had cut it before. You had decided to cut it before it released.
after the first show.
After the first show.
After the first show.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Quick decision.
Yeah.
And how 18 minutes to cut after the first show?
Can you imagine?
How did you even do it, yeah?
How much time did you take to edit?
I think 3 hours.
Unbelievable.
I mean,
You just knew that this would happen.
Yeah, but here he knew, I think, which sequence to cut out. Like, I think it's the scene where they you know, drink near the dam or something, and then they walk to the cycle, and then they again go somewhere, sit in the field or something. That portion is totally cut out. And then there's a portion in that only he talks about temple he visits, and then that doesn't make sense. So later, Arvind Swami's character goes to that temple while in the bus, right? He catches the bus, and he runs away, catches the bus, he stops the bus there, gets down, be the temple, and then goes home. So even that portion doesn't make sense because the first scene was cut, so even that was cut out. That's what I noticed in the Netflix version.
Actually,
With the technology now, we have to go back to the cube. It's
No,
it's
of
a
course.
lengthy,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
lengthy
yeah.
process again.
yeah, but like in 3 hours to cut out 18 minutes is
a
like...
super-
Of a released film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's mainly because the producer of the movie, Mr. Surya, he was so confident. He just said, no trimming, nothing. It's like a newborn baby. You can't say the eyes is not right, the ears are right, not right. Don't
Wow.
ever do that.
You need
This
that.
kind of criticism will come because these are all weekend audience who just come to watch a mainstream movie. For them to, sink into this mood and understand, you have to give some time. But for me, the problem was like there is a big movie coming in another 2 weeks. Vettayan was about to come. So the window what we have is very less. And I wanted everyone to make at least a decent money out of this. I had to quickly decide that. But then, of course,
Wow.
as I said, I regret. I shouldn't have.
No,
I
you
should have.
do regret, but financially it turned out to be a good thing.
It did. But yeah, the footfall increased and
You think it increased because of the deleted?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't think so. I don't think
I agree with you. I feel that you're right in not thinking so. somehow, because I feel that it anyway sometimes takes a couple of days for people to get a film, which is like
word of
this
mouth
one.
takes a while.
Yeah.
I mean, even with Lapata, the opening was nothing.
This is a big
and
learning.
then it ran.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah. So many films like that.
So many films
But
age
that
well.
takes
Age
a
well.
certain amount of like,
For example,
I don't know, guts to be able to cut like that much right before your release or after the first show. It's, I mean, I don't know, hats off to your,
just the strength
just
to do it.
to take that, to take
I
that
had
call.
to, purely for the sake of the producer and the distributor.
Yeah.
But this for the first time, even the reviewers, they were coming under criticism because all the audience, they,
Correct.
got along. And they were saying it is because of you I didn't watch it in the theaters. That's
Hey,
so many.
I was I? I did like mention that I didn't understand what that was trying to say, those sequences, but now what he says makes sense. But yeah, I didn't work in the film, but maybe I am part of the problem here. But I didn't call it an issue. I just said it second half. I was not sure where we are going, but anyways, I still love the film. So okay, I'm in the right. That's not me.
New things were happening, so I had to take my time to process.
Sorry.
The loud sampling reaches faster.
Yeah.
So the louder ones,
Yeah.
I'm sure he would have been conscious back then, and he would have taken that call.
Correct.
Only due to consciousness, and he would have felt awkward. And that's why he says about the screenshots and all. So those are the louder ones that reach you, and you react to it.
Correct.
This is also a case in point that too much strategy sometimes doesn't work.
True.
Sometimes you just have to go into the film and see what it is saying
Finally,
and just believe it for whatever it becomes.
It becomes your instinct as a storyteller. You have to feel like this
Most
is
of the
what I
people
wanted
would
to
have
tell,
loved it,
and this
they
is
would
what
have walked away
works
silently.
For you.
for me. I mean, beyond the point, you are also your best audience, right?
Yes, of
At the end of the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the sensible audience, they don't put out their opinion on the social media.
Correct.
They remain silent.
That's true.
Yeah.
And even those, actually, on the third week, they called me and they, they started doing GPay. That, sorry, I couldn't watch it in the theaters. Oh my Send it to the producer.
Listen, that's too good.
That's amazing.
Yeah, okay, audience.
super
bhai.
gesture.
And especially those people who watched it on Netflix.
Yeah.
They were so guilty. They said, just send it to the producer.
Did you send it or did you?
That's right.
Okay, that's fascinating. But the producer did, I guess, make money when it was on Netflix, though. But yeah, that additional whatever he got, I don't know, maybe a few of them or hundreds of them, it was still money, right?
Where is that money now? But I also want to get a sense from all of you of what you're like on set, right? So, Venky, you've said it's meditative for you.
There's one more person next to you, Anupama. He didn't say anything yet.
Imtiaz, you've said it's a relief for you to be on a set. But a set is drama. A set is stress. A set is money ticking, no matter what the budget of your film is. And Christo,
Finally.
your set was your grandfather's house, and you were all walking in knee-deep water because this is a film set during the monsoon and it's all flooded, and your entire cast and crew was just walking in water all day.
Yeah.
What were you like on that set?
I mean, it was crazy, to say the least. Because when we started shooting or when we were doing the pre-production, nobody has done this kind of thing before, like flood an actual house and the surroundings. People have built sets and then flooded it. Now we were trying to flood an actual house and 2 acres around it. So we didn't even know that it would work. So we were all, we were so much worried that what if it doesn't work? Like, it's 10 days before the shoot and what if it doesn't work? So we had to build an entire area, like 2 acres of land, tank around the 2 acres, bring in pumps that are used for cultivation, and pump in water for like 8-7 hours during the night, so that when we come in the morning, there is a certain kind of level we have of the water. So there is level 1, level 2, level 3 of the floods that we would create. And we are doing all this in a very shoestring budget. And our directors back in Kerala are just great. And we are also doing sync sound. So there is a roof above the roof of the house. on which the rain will fall. So the sound is minimized when it gets to the roof. And this roof has to be moved from one room to another if you have to shoot in a certain room. And then actors would come in the morning and they have to walk in the water. They would be wet. They have to have lunch being wet. They have to... And then there were days when I was like, I just want
And just raise that to 100 for 2018 movie, right?
to get back to the hotel room. I waited 8 years to do this film. I went through a lot to make it happen, and then you're standing in like knee-deep water and mud.
Rethinking all your life choices.
Yeah, and your mother's house, which I've grown up in. I loved that house. That is my favorite place in the world. Like, there is a backyard which I would go and spend like hours doing nothing, and that house was crumbling. It was getting leaked. Roof was falling over, and I just couldn't. I just couldn't. That's one thing I learned, that never shoot in your house, especially when it's a flooded sequence that you have to shoot. And I think, but one thing that added authenticity to it is that we were shooting in a real place. We are really flooding it, and that place gets flooded a lot. It floods like 4 or 5 times a year. So I think that kind of inspired the actors also. So after shooting a few scenes in the house, they would say that let's go outside, let's be in the flood, let's shoot there. But the problem is that it takes 10x the time to set up something in the water that you're doing in land. To move one camera from here to there, it takes so much of time. Before setting up a crane, you have to think so many times and figure out the angle, figure out a lot of things, because shifting that jeep from there would take your entire day. And if you see the film, you will understand that the house and the paddy fields, house and the backyard had certain kind of water level, and there is a embankment, like there is a bridge that disconnects the backyard from the paddy field. So what happens is that in one shot the boat will be here in the backyard, and the next shot the boat has to be there, and this is like heavy, huge boat. Everybody from the light boys, from the rain team, from the DOP to the production controller would carry the boat across and put it there.
Wow.
So I think it was so crazy.
Sometimes there's too much effort that goes behind. I think when that film works, right, it all comes worth it, right? It pays off. Like, you don't need to know all that while watching the film. It doesn't really comes into the picture. But all because of that effort, it enabled you to tell a story like this and the way you did.
But I think everybody kind of owned up to it, including the actors, and they were inspired by it. So that was great.
And your next script, I'm assuming, will not include
Blood.
water.
I mean, even if it includes water, I'll never shoot in my own house.
Imtiaz, what do you like on a set?
I'm, in retrospect, very happy.
In retrospect.
Yeah, because on the set, it's like, I don't know, I don't get a sense of being alive at all. Like, it's like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what I'm doing. Before going on every day on the set, there is a little time where I feel, what am I going to do? I don't know anything. There is
Self-doubt.
that insecurity.
Even now?
Yeah. 20 years later, there is that. It's like that actor. I used to be an actor on stage, and since we are on a stage, I remember myself standing on the wings just before entry, and I know all my lines, and I know that I have to enter at a cue. But just before that, I feel I've forgotten everything, and time has become very slow. That line is not coming, or it's coming too fast. That's my cue. Similar experience getting onto a set as a director. There's a little time where you feel I don't know anything. Kya shot tha, kya angle tha. When you go there, the first things that reach you is what has gone wrong. That sets everything back to normal. Because there is a calamity, there is every day some calamity. 5 or 6 maybe. That person did not arrive. We had to cut this, the knife is only not there. Something or the other. And then you start problem solving. The moment you start problem solving, all your problems get solved. And then you've gone
It's
beyond.
like you in your mind you're like what to do on the set. Should I do this on like confidence? And you're like, oh, this problem. So your focus is suddenly on this problem to solve this, and then there's this problem, and then there's this problem, and just suddenly it becomes like just focus on what is in front of you. Okay, you have to shoot this scene. This scene should have this. That's how the camera lighting. Okay, do that. Okay, take one. Okay, that didn't work out. Let's do one more take. Like once you get into the working, right, the process, you stop thinking anything, and then when you're not thinking anything, then it doesn't matter. Just keep doing what you have to do.
Like when you realize when you're problem solving that, oh, there is no knife, can we do it with the hand? You know, then that scene has changed already. Now you got to think in a new way, and that sometimes adds freshness, I feel. So I think it's the problems that solve the problem.
Yeah.
Problem
and
that
it's very
solves
nice
the
and
problem.
collaborative and warm. I have a sense of affinity towards all people on set. I think all of us will have that, you know. Every department, there's a certain sense, you know. We can recognize each other in different countries also. Oh, filmy hai. You know, there's a certain sense. So I feel that being with those guys is really special. Like you find occasion to be with those guys. It's like in that way very nice and warm. Of course, there is always a problem, always. But that is what unites us also.
Yeah.
Nice.
Venky, how are you meditative?
See, yeah, there is a sense of tension on the set because every day we plan a day in a certain way, but obviously it won't go that way. We'll be shooting a scene
That's
with
true.
like 200 people, and one extra will just take his phone out. He'll be watching like this. And again, we have to. So when we're shooting with 200 people on a set, to take the shot again, it'll take at least 20 to 30 minutes, and that's like money ticking.
Yeah.
So earlier I used to shout, and after one point I realized it's waste of shouting. It's waste of shouting. Just smile. Okay, let's do this. Okay, maybe half an hour late. Okay, we'll pack up half an hour late. So that way.
So you become Zen-like about it.
Yeah, it's more. Yeah, I've learned to be Zen, in Zen mode. So after that, I think shooting especially Lucky Bhaskar, because every day I used to have around 300 people, 300 extras on the set. So
My God.
if I had not, been calm, I think it would have been a mess. People would have cursed me. People would have started coming to the set.
Negative energy also.
Thinking, oh man, we're going to this man's set. Only when the actors, including extras, they have to own up a film to make the film a grand success.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. I don't like people cursing on set. So, to get that kind of a healthy environment, I slowly learned to be calm and meditative mode.
Kiran, I saw an article that called you a gentle subversive, which I thought was just lovely. A gentle
Nice one.
subversive. It's a great one. Are you calm on set?
I wouldn't say calm. No, I think it's many years of being a first AD that kind of kicks in when I'm on set, even as a director. I kind of like I'm constantly preemptively thinking of things and rushing around. So I guess I'm super energetic, but I think I enjoy it to a point where like I'm literally the first person on set and the last person to leave, and everything in between is just very exciting.
Craziness.
So I don't think calm, but it's but I think a lot of fun. I really enjoy. I think that's the best part of filmmaking is 100% being on set. And I completely agree with Imtiaz when he said like problems solve problems, is because also that's some of the fun of it. You've prepped so much. You've come to set with like an idea of what you want to do. There is stress before you start, but you can, because on the day anything can happen.
It's unpredictable.
And you're always like sort of firefighting. But that firefighting brings a certain kind of different and sort of present, energy to that scene. Anything that you would have imagined would be different than the day and the performance and how that person is looking in that light. And it's the momentary sort of magic of being amongst again, your colleagues, again, most of us shooting on real locations. So, how that affects us. It just adds so much magic that you just have to, I guess, be open to it, and that's what I really love about it. So, there is that low level of stress for all of us. The clock is always ticking. Sure. Like he said, like extras, and we were shooting during COVID with 200 extras on a train station. It was just with live trains going by us. So, there's always stress, but it's also really fun and exciting. So I think on set, I'm just super energetic.
Rajkumar, for you, you shot some very elaborate action sequences.
Yeah. For me, firstly, deep down, I'm very happy to be on a set because that's what we all dream of. Yeah. Today, the scene is going to come to life. So deep down, I'm very happy. But the layers above, that is only visible stress and anger, but we don't take it out on anybody. So I think
why is there anger?
I think that is because the time is always ticking. We even thought of
something or the other will go out of control. You think this will happen, and suddenly you go there and something else. It's unpredictable. Anything can go wrong. What you thought is not what you're getting. So you have to keep training your mind that you want what you want, but you have to know when to let go. Because there's time constantly going on. You cannot spend so much time on the small thing over and over again because there's more important things to do, and the time is going on. You have spending money. Money is time. The more time you're taking for one shot, the longer it goes, it's adding more money to the budget. Then you need more time to shoot those. Then some locations you have just for a few days, but the scene is not coming right. How to do it? Maybe don't take a wide angle. Take a close up. Let's go on. So you have to keep coming up with tricks and sometimes you have to be like, oh, this scene is important, this has to come nice, so let's do it again. So like, okay, this is not an important scene, let's move on. Maybe we'll later shoot it again in a different way, just take a close up, like just let's go on.
Who formulated these rules? Who came up with the call times and the backup time? Sometimes you always and we cannot reshoot. I mean, I don't have the habit of reshooting anything. I always believe, okay, you wrote something for so many years, it was there on paper. Now today is the day that you're going to witness this scene. And so we have great performers, of course, Shiva Karthikeyan, Sai Pallavi, Rahul Bose sir, and Bhuvan Arora. So many actors and so many extras every day. So we are going to witness the scene that day. No matter how much we have prepared, how much they've read the lines, but still what happens that day, that is how the scene is. Yeah. So that's the actual scene. Even I get to see the scene only that day. Though we have visualized it so many times, we have seen that film before, but still we get to see it only that particular day. And all of these people were also not professionals. We were shooting with the actual people. Yeah. So such days, stress is inevitable on a film set.
But the anger stays inside.
Because I don't take it out on anybody.
You're just swearing internally.
Yes. I think that is where the meditative thing and all comes. We turn very spiritual. We pray a lot before every take.
I used to pray a lot.
Because
I used to literally pray a lot. Okay, come on, God, please.
Because our emotions
most of my shoot happened in December. So the light will always be an issue. So I can only shoot till 5.
But it is actually meditative, I agree, in the way that you have to, you're so present in that moment. You can't be thinking about anything else when it's happening. It just, you will not get what you want, unless you're very, very plugged into the moment.
And Prem, your film is meditative. It's a conversation between two people that lasts an entire night. Does that kind of rub off on the actual shoot, or is the actual shoot actual chaos no matter what the scene is?
Actually, the wedding scene, I would say, so many extras and people, so that would have been hectic, right, to shoot.
That to be very silent. And this movie, we had live sound. 96, we didn't have live sound, but it is a must, it's a rule. That once when the lighting is over, no one can be there. Just the camera assistant, cameraman. If needed, some assistants can be there, 1 or 2, that's all. The rest of the team, the lightmen, everyone will be sent out. And once when the actors come inside, I'll allow them to, just rehearse for a minute or 2. And I want them to feel it is a real location. And even if it is a set, I make it a point it is not made out of plywood or plaster of Paris. Like
Oh.
in Meiyazhagan, we had a well,
Yeah.
and we had another extension of the house and all. It is actually constructed because when they touch, they should feel the real wall. When they sit on it, they should feel it real. So we actually constructed it, and that impacts on the performance actually. They don't feel it's a artificial thing. And I had two of the finest actors, and they gave their best actually.
Yeah.
They did. Both of them were so lovely.
And it helped actually. And otherwise, sometimes you have all those lightmen and everyone like holding the thermocol and getting really close, having eye contact with them. Those things are not allowed, and no one can.
You can
shout.
see it in this
They
film
have to give
also.
instructions. They have to use the walkie or just get close and tell, even if they want to make some final changes. So I kind of maintain that. And for me, it is very personal. Filmmaking is very, very personal for me. It is not professional at all. So most of them who are working with me, they are like friends for 20 years, 10 years. So no one in the set calls me sir or anything.
Closed group.
So it's either like Anna or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's very personal. So we keep it that way. So that's how it is. And yes, once in a while when people don't realize what we are doing there, because it's not something that's happening for that moment. For me to come there, it has taken like 20 years. For the actors, even more. And it's a huge thing. What is happening there is a confluence of so many dreams. And when people don't take it seriously, it's not just shouting at them or getting angry. I make them do that. If they disturb the actors, I make them, hold the scene paper and read it at least. Then they will feel the difficulty of how intense it is to
Like a punishment on set.
deliver something like
You've
that.
actually done it?
I keep doing it.
Amazing.
So that's when, because they feel it's like they are taking crores of money, they should do it again. What's the problem?
right.
That mentality is there. But once when they come before the camera or, sit there and judge, make some decisions, they feel the seriousness.
All the wannabe actors in the crew will deliberately make mistakes to get a chance to
get a chance.
audition for sir.
Prem sir will cast me in the next one.
He's doing pretty well.
I want to, guys, discuss this concept that Anubhav Sinha actually introduced me to a few years ago. And I've asked many directors about this because it really fascinated me. And he talked about adding cheese.
Cheese.
Okay, cheese to a film, to a scene. And he interpreted cheese as the kind of topping that you put into a scene to kind of make it come alive, make it more palatable to an audience. Just make it, if it's very dry, make it a little bit throb with life, right? And he said that his cheese was in Article 15, Ayushmann Khurrana's picking up the rescued girl and walking very much like a hero. Or the kind of very fiery dialogue in Mulk, in the court scenes. That is the cheese, right? You don't need it, but you add it. Do you subscribe to this notion, and how do you figure out how much cheese to add?
I do subscribe.
Yes?
I do.
Tell.
So because I come from Telugu film industry, and we always like this larger than life movies, and we definitely want to have a happy ending. So when it comes to adding that cheese factor, you see in every Telugu film or even my films, you have this. For example, in Vati, there is this one scene where Dhanush sir will be walking out of the village. So he'll be abandoned from the village. Now he's walking out of the village, and it's burning sun, and he doesn't even have
Slippers.
He doesn't even have slippers. Yeah. And there is this one guy with a limp who's like restricted to help him. So he doesn't know what to do. He just goes to this pump. He keeps pumping water, and that water just touches his feet. So that's what I call the cheese.
Right.
So I think even till date, I rate that scene as my best scene. So yeah, we need that cheese.
Dramatic.
Because where do you stand on this? Because you just said that you can't be smart. Like you can't be deliberate.
Yeah, but I meant more in terms of me trying to be
Conceiving a project, not a scene or something.
a market wizard
Sure.
or a hustler, or a business entity when I'm directing. That's what I meant. Yeah, we do try to make the scene better. I don't know whether I try to or tend to add from the outside. I'm trying to think of an instance. And if I do manage to within the time, I'll tell you. But I can't really think of when I would when I've done that really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might come from inside and it might seem like an awesome thing to do and an opportunity. But to say that, oh, this is the scene and now I will put something on top, I can't think of it.
I think it's just a way of saying cheese, but I think it's maybe can you feel like maybe this version I wrote is this, but maybe if you do this way, it'll come out nicely, or if we change the dialogue or line or the movement of the camera, it makes it much better. I think that's what it meant.
Anyone else?
For me, I think when I was making Ulurka, it's an emotional drama. So it could be written in so many different ways.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it was not just about one scene, but I wanted this film to be engaging, like thrilling. So when a lot of reviews were coming, they were calling it an emotional thriller, using those kind of words to kind of describe basically an emotional drama. So for me, that was very important. Even during the edit, my editor asked me, what kind of pace do you need? Like, what kind of rhythm you need? Like, do you want to kind of be meditative? I said, no, I want audience to kind of be on the edge of the seat. Even though it's an emotional drama, it has a lot of emotional scenes and long takes and such. I want them to be always asking the question, like, what happens next? So that was something that I kept in the back of my mind while writing it, while shooting it, even while editing it. So for me, that was way to make this story more accessible to people, for them to kind of celebrate it when it comes to the theaters. And a lot of reviewers, even my friends, told me that this, even if the film was made in a different way, it would still be loved. But the reason it was a success is because this was how it was told. Like, it was being told as an emotional thriller. So yeah, I think we can never ignore the audience is what I personally feel. So yeah.
I guess then, Kiran, the comedy would be the cheese.
Yeah, I mean, in Anubhav's case, I think it's more like what you do with maybe the climactic moments that you're referring to, where you have these dramatic sort of whistle-worthy scenes, And for me, actually, the one point at which I struggled a little bit with it, because cheese is not my thing at all. But, there's a scene in which Jaya kind of comes clean about who she is and what she does. And Sneha had written these really whistle-worthy lines, lots of them. And it was beautifully written. And honestly, when we were editing it, I actually reduced some of the cheese.
Why?
Because it just felt like
in your face.
It just felt heavy-handed.
Yeah.
I wanted her. The tone of the film was really, while it was an outlandish plot, really believable and realistic. I mean, these things. This has happened. Now, if you buy the plot, this is what is happening thereafter, right? And if she's kind of getting a chance to explain what her intentions were, what her motives were in kind of coming and staying in that house. And it needed to feel like a girl just actually telling her story.
Yeah.
So
it should not feel like, oh, she's outside the film now and talking that to the audience and giving, very nuanced and high level maturity kind of delivery of, how the society is wrong. And this, you don't want a preachy message there or very bold lines, hard hitting lines. Like, she's a simple girl who, thought she can maybe escape, but she couldn't. And what her reasoning is, that's it for a character. She cannot become suddenly a warrior of the society and, fighting for the women's right and all.
Yeah, I'm not a big advocate for cheese. I feel like a film has to work overall in tone. I mean, you should come out feeling satisfied and not like, oh, something is just, there, which is, not really
Organic.
Yeah, not organic, not needed in the film. That's kind of what I feel.
Now, Kiran, you of course worked with writers, but I think the rest of you have either written the films yourselves or co-written them, right? And Prem, you said your writing process is, I mean, it sounds, can I just say, a little nuts? Because you said that
What's the process?
otherwise you're sort of obsessive about bathing, right? And you bathing, right? And you bathe like 3-4 times a day. But when you're writing, you forget to bathe, you forget to eat, you forget to sleep because you're serving the story. How long does this go on for?
It depends. Like the last 2 scripts I finished within 20 days.
20 days.
Yeah, that's the max I took.
So no bath for 20 days.
6 was 18 days. Meiyazhagan was 14 days. But I write endlessly. I don't sleep. As I said, like I don't even bathe. For someone who has OCD, to be without bathing or washing hands, it's very difficult. But that's what writing does to me. And
Nice. That's what it
writing
takes.
is very meditative for me. And for me, that's the most purest form of filmmaking. So that's where it starts. And I always feel like I'm chosen to write that, whatever.
Nice.
Because suddenly it comes and I start writing and it goes endless and I finish it. Like I come out of that possessed state or whatever it is.
What does the family do when this possession is happening?
Mostly like I have like 20-25 cats at home.
And,
20, 25?
Yeah.
Not quite sure.
I mean, like,
Some come in, some go out.
yeah, so it keeps varying.
Amazing.
Yeah. And they don't, they want my attention
Yeah.
always because they're like kittens sometimes, some old cats are there. Constantly they need my attention. Not to take care of them, just attention, that's all. So when I start writing, they get angry. Sometimes they just crash the script or something. And I always write with pen and paper, so I can't type.
That's also something, not many do that. Like some people still prefer like paper and all. Like even I don't know if I'll show you my review I write. I still don't, I have paper and just write my notes, whatever I want to write. But yeah, I think system is, maybe I'm in the generation who grew up with writing and not too much on, texting and all. So I'm not really, and you cannot really change things. You cannot add things, there's no freedom at doing that. I think you need freedom when you're thinking, right? And you're writing something and suddenly something comes up, you have to make a note somewhere else, but you're typing, suddenly where to go? There's no freeness to it. There's a format you have to follow in digital, unless you have a tab and you have, can write with the pen or whatever. But yeah, this paper feeling, the pen feeling on the paper, it just gives you more, and it just, that flow happens much better.
Sometimes they'll just snatch the pen and run away. All those things happen. So only that disturbance.
That's a movie in itself. That should be the next film. Him just writing. A character is there. He's writing his script. The cats are coming in the way.
Take. Otherwise, I should be left alone. So I just write and write and write. That's it.
Wow.
So that's.
Who else has an intense process like this where you're just removed from life for 20 days?
I think all of us would
All of
agree
us
because
Really?
yes. Right.
Like the bathing also.
Not the bathing part.
Everyone else remembers to shower.
I think other than Prem sir, I've heard only Shah Rukh sir say that he bathes 3-4 times a day. That is the news. But writing itself is very personal. I think the process is very personal. And we all have our own sorts of madness during.
I don't like, not to compare with the film, but when I'm writing, it cannot be that I write and then I, do some other work, then come. No. Constantly I need to be writing because I'm constantly thinking and, figuring out, oh, this, I have to say this, I want to say this, where to put this, where to start to structure the video, how should I start it, how should I end it, what should be the middle portion. So like for it to, like you have to constantly think. They need to, I don't know if you notice it in the review, but I put a lot of effort that there should be a flow. It should not be that I talk about something and then stop and then I'm suddenly talking about something else and then suddenly something else. Like there should be a flow from one point to the other. That's what I try to do, but I don't know how much it reflects in the review.
That process, I think, because writing is most of the times it's not sit and write. It is most of the times giving ourselves that space mentally, being engrossed in that and being obsessed with it. I think that is the most important phase of filmmaking itself, because as far as I'm concerned, once I finish writing and if that is set, then after that it's only executing all of those scenes and emotions later in the other stages of the process. So there we live all the madness through all the characters. We live through all these emotions. For us to culminate to that point, we would have lived those points, and so that's how it is.
How long do you write for? Like, how long did Amaran take?
Amaran actually took 3.5 months, ma'am, because before that stage there was a lot of research. There were a lot of facts. We also have to stay true to the facts, and of course there's a lot of fiction in it. But again, the fiction can't be overdone. It has to match with the corresponding facts also. How do we conceive a scene? So how do we get to that point? Since it's a biopic, and how do we pick the right points? Okay, these are enough to be told in this film. These will not say this in this film. So to take such calls, I mean, to leave out certain portions and to retain certain portions, definitely, and to
balance
condense all of this in one film's length. So that was quite challenging.
Yeah.
The previous film, Rangoon, I think I wrote it in 27 days. 27 or 28 days, yes. Yeah.
I think for most writing, because I wrote my first and I mean, I know I'm writing the next, but what happens is you want to be in a frame of mind because it kind of comes in a flow then. So I know why he just kind of wants to be sequestered in a place and not disturbed, because ideas are so changeable. No? It's like one new scene can change a lot that's gone before or after, and can change even the kind of vibe or tone of what you're writing. So actually just stay with it and let it lead you, and be in some way led by the muses is sort of means that you give yourself that time to just do that. And that's why I think, how much did you say you took to write this? 20 days?
20. Less than 20 days.
Wow.
In fact, it was during the second lockdown.
Yeah.
So after vaccination, I was traveling, and suddenly the idea for the climax and all came. And we didn't have shops to buy notebooks. Everything was locked. So when I reached my village, my mother, she had a sketchbook of my daughter. It was sketched everywhere. And here and there we had space. So she said, this is all what I have. If you can write on this, you can write.
Oh,
And you wrote
Oh
it
my
there?
God.
Like more than 10 scenes, I would say.
fantastic.
Wow. Imtiaz, what do you like when you're writing?
I think I was just thinking about it while you guys were talking, and I think that it's been different for different films. Usually I try to get over with it as soon as possible.
You don't enjoy it.
I don't know whether it's enjoyment, but I just want to get over with it. And it's not as though I'm not enjoying it. And there is that phase that you don't forget to, but choose not to,
Bathe?
No, yeah, like almost everything.
Right.
Whatever you can control.
Yeah.
And it happens at any time. Yesterday I was writing a scene, which I'm just writing the dialogue for a show we are making. I had to go to the loo. And I took forever before getting up and going, because I just felt that, if I go, then it's coming now. It'll stop. Or not stop, but I didn't.
It'll pass on with the pace.
Well, I just was, I don't know whether that's enjoyment. You know what I mean? It didn't seem like enjoyment. But you don't want to get up. You want to finish it. And so I sometimes have finished screenplays or scripts very, very fast. Very fast. And, but I also feel that connected to the story, like I write on the go.
And you're typing or you're scribbling?
I'm typing.
You're typing.
I'm
Okay.
typing with my laptop, but on the plane, anywhere, anywhere at all. Like I can sit in the backstage and write. If I feel like, I do it. I don't wait for the occasion or for seclusion or anything of that sort, because it's just like I feel if it's happening now, just let's do it. So I feel writing is like that for me. And it's never ending in a way. Like I always feel, last day mein change nahi hoga. But then later on, something happens. The moment it happens, you feel like going back into that scene opening that, changing that, and then whatever else it changes, get into it. So that process keeps going.
I've never like I've written script as in like short stories, kind of short things, and we shot something, or in that sense, maybe we made a short film. But yeah, I've not written as a whole narrative, fictional narrative where there's multiple scenes, interval, and so I want to do that to just understand how the process is. How it like what you write later and then build it. As you said, it changes something you do in the beginning, so you have to make a change there also, and how to how it flows. That I want to experience that once.
On till the end of edit. Sometimes in dubbing also things are changing. Everything is affecting everything else. So the writing really doesn't get over till the release.
Yes.
Like Bhatt Saab had said sometimes that films are never completed, they're only abandoned.
Or released.
Yes. So Sir Ridley Scott, who is 87 and has just delivered one of the biggest hits of his career, Gladiator 2, was asked about how do you deal with studios? What's the relationship? And he said, and it's very interesting, there isn't a them and us as far as I'm concerned. I have enormous respect for the studios. They're paying me to have a jolly good time making my vision of what we've agreed on. All creative minds have to deal with the people who are paying the bills. How do you guys deal with the people who are paying the bills? Is it combative? Are you taking notes? Have you made peace? Christo?
For me, I was trying to mount this film for the longest time.
Yeah.
Because it's a female-led film, financing it was difficult. And also it's talking about a subject that is not so commercial in the typical manner.
Yeah.
And when I was initially pitching the story, it's about a woman who has an affair while her husband is sick and gets pregnant with the boyfriend's child. And
Already no one is taking that.
producers told me that nobody's going to come and watch this film in Kerala. Like, the child should not be the boyfriend's, you have to make it the husband's.
Oh
Then
my
there is no
God.
story.
Minor change.
Yeah, minor change. So we for the longest time had difficulty in kind of mounting the project, and it's not an easy film to make also as your debut film, because you need a certain kind of setup for the flood, for the rain, all those things. And when Hani and Abhishek came in, I think, and then
This is Abhishek Chaubey,
yeah, Abhishek
Anit
Chaubey,
Rehan, and RSVP who produced.
and Ronnie Screwvala, when they came in, I think I got the best producers that I could get in the world. And I have to especially thank Ronnie for kind of supporting this film, because he had no need to come to Kerala and do this film. He was doing so well here. And they didn't know
That
how-
was even I was surprised that that they came and like financed this film. I think that also happened because of the boom of Malayalam cinema in the recent times, and maybe and even for like someone said in Kerala, no one will watch this film. That's fascinating, right? The kind of films they make, that someone, the producers or them telling him that no one will like. Even he's finding hard to get his film being produced, and it's a Bollywood or a Hindi film production house that is backing the project. So weird things happen every time.
the market works there. It's completely different in terms of here everything is more structured in terms of contracts and invoices and things like that.
yeah.
There people get scared away when you mention contracts or when you mention invoices.
This is something I recently was told, that's a big thing in Kerala. No contracts, nothing. Like, even if you say you need a contract, they're like, you don't trust us, this and that. Like, this emotional kind of talks. And then later, when it's time to get the money, they just say, no, that's not this, is not that. They'll not give you the money promised. But now you don't have a contract. Sometimes they don't get money also for months. They're just after, those people and for the money, for the work they did. So that is a big issue actually in Malayalam. I think that's what happens when you're small industry. There's no strict rules and guidelines to be followed. Like, no one wants to make a contract, and maybe that helps, that sometimes you can ask for more money, no contract, okay, I trust you. It's about maintaining a relationship and creating contacts. It's okay if I get less money, at least I'm getting more work, I'll get higher in the industry. There's so many things happening. So if there's no guidelines like that, someone will misuse it.
So I mean, it's a different set of rules there. So for them to kind of warm up to that and work according to that set of rules, which is completely alien to them, I think they were great. So on Ulurk, I have to say that I had the best producers in the world.
But that's not always the case, right? Okay, don't give me names, but what's the worst note the guy paying the bill has ever said to you? Like, what's a bad creative note any of you have gotten?
I think my producers or people who have paid the check have been very kind to me.
Yeah?
Yeah, very, very.
No creative meddling?
I'm sure there was. They try to say it in a way that doesn't hurt you. Sometimes, but I have not really faced this problem, really. And I was really, from outside, I had no idea about filmmaking when I started. And Vijeta Films, like Dharmender and Company, Sunny Deol was my producer, really. And, but, the old-fashioned film houses respect directors a lot. So once they took me in as a director, and that was just on the basis of the narration. It's kind of an unfair thing, I feel. But after that, they never questioned any. I mean, you won't.
That's interesting that, the older ones are the one who are respecting, and maybe the more business oriented of the newer ones as in the last 10, 20 years, 15 years, they are like, we can control the actor, we know more, we know how things work. Yes, it's your story, but we'll tell you what to do, how many songs, this and that, business wise, we understand it better and all of that.
This Aisha, who was the heroine of the film, the producer met on the day of the shoot. Sunny said, "Yaar, mere ko mila to de, dikha to de, heroine kaun si li hai?" That, like that.
Right.
So there was absolute in that way. And then the later producer, I've been very lucky. I don't think they have in that way come around and told me do this or do that. But also the thing is that I have to understand, like all directors, all of us have to understand that they have hired us and are paying us not to agree to them, but to do a certain job which they feel they can't do themselves. That's our speciality.
Yeah.
So we've got to do it in spite of them. If at some point of time they say something which is not making sense, you'll tell them why it's not making sense. And they will agree, usually, because why have they hired you? They're not fools. So I feel that has worked for me.
But you do hear a lot of, times where the actors and it's not working out and they don't work it. They leave the project or something like that. Many things like that happens a lot. And I think, and sometimes maybe the director is not strong enough or clear enough that, if I lose this project, if I leave now, I'll not get it to, even if I have to compromise, let's just do it. Like, I'm sure this also happens a lot. But yeah, you have to be sure what you're doing.
Yeah, do it along with them almost.
Yeah.
Because you convince each other.
You convince each other.
At least it's worked. I mean, I've been very lucky also working with Amir on both films. But, you kind of disagree, but the disagreement is usually resolved by one person convincing the other of their position. That why this is a better, choice to have made. So,
and sometimes producers come up with great creative ideas or ideas that lead to a creative solution of something.
Yeah.
So I enjoy working with producers. Unfortunately, now I'm producing myself, but there's always going to be somebody else.
Yeah,
a
studio or somebody that you're talking to. But I've really enjoyed working with producers. Like, they have their own ways and they have their own wisdom.
Yeah.
Because the money is theirs, right? So they don't want to win an argument but lose the money. That's not why they have become producers.
That's right.
That's more the director thing to do.
What about,
nice line.
Yeah, but Rajkumar, you worked with Kamal sir.
Yeah.
Kamal
Haasan sir, I gave him the script to read, the full final draft of screenplay to read. Sir himself is a filmmaker. He's a director, actor, producer, and many more. So I was actually looking forward to his feedback. I kept bugging him week on week basis. Has he read the script? Have you read the script, sir? Have you read the script, sir? There was no answer from him. So I thought maybe sir doesn't like the script. He doesn't want to say it out. Then during the third week, he told me that he is reading it and he's on the 9th page and it is going very good. And I just started this morning. This is what he said. and I was looking forward to his. I told him, sir, I'm looking forward to your feedback, so I'm waiting for you to finish it. What he said was he said, no, you're the writer for this film. So do not make somebody else hold your pen. If you are, I am very confident. I believe in this.
That's Kamal Hassan for you. That's a lovely line.
You just go make the film that you set out to make. I'm reading it for the sake of reading it. After that, he saw the film only after I finished the final edit, without the background music, without the final final dubbed voices of the actors. So he saw the final edit and he fixed the release date. So that's the kind of liberty I had with Kamal sir.
Sorry, I have a question. He didn't read the script at all.
He had read the script, but he never shared his feedback with me.
Because he doesn't want you to tamper with what your vision is.
Yes. So there are situations like this too. I cannot expect this in every film.
Yeah.
There will be other kinds of advantages with a conventional producer. There will be other kinds of disadvantages as well. We never know. So I think, but most of the times, I think we'll have to align with the team that we are working with, and we'll have to share the vision. The vision has to be transferred, the knowledge has to be transferred, and all of us will have to envision the same film. Only then.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about, it's one thing dealing with the people who are paying the bills. What about dealing with the noise around box office, right? But I think this started about 15, 17 years ago. When I started as a journalist, there was one NAS building in South Mumbai, South Central, and it was filled with distributors and exhibitors, and that was where the sort of
box office
nerve center of the trade for Hindi cinema was, right? And they knew, and the trade magazines would talk about, itna opening tha, itna wo tha, whatever. But 15, 17 years ago, and yes, the press has played an equal part in this, we became obsessed with the 100 crore club, right?
Yeah.
Producers also, the ads were now entered 100 crores worldwide, first day, something. Now we're at 1,000 crores. Pushpa 2 is at 1,000 crores. I don't know, is that something any of you pay attention to? And how do you work with that figure? What happens? What do you do? Prem?
For me, it doesn't make any difference, actually.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone on this. Maybe Amran's director, because he kind of made 300 crores plus. But yeah, for others, I don't think it's really, they are the kind of filmmakers who are in that race, or they are, aiming for that.
Because
you're not paying attention to it.
Not at all. Even if it comes to my ears, for me, it's very insignificant, actually. Because basically, probably when we were, all of us, when we were at our teens or early 20s, when we wanted to come into the film industry.
Listening to this question, I wonder if we can have a roundtable with the more commercial directors like Sukumar, with Kalki's director, Nagashwin, or the other big films. Stree, True Director. What are the other bigger films? Maybe Goat's director, you can say. They also made 400 something. Amran's director. We talk about more of the commercialness of films and how the box office money, this and that.
What would have inspired us, what would have excited us is to tell a story. That's all. I want to hold on to them. The rest all may come, may not come, that's different. But if you go into those numbers, then the natural flow what you have, the storyteller inside you, he becomes something else. Then probably when you are like in the retiring stage, when you look back, you would have made a lot of bad movies. So I don't want to, go there and think back.
Yeah.
So I have made my decision. The numbers, they mean nothing to me. If it makes good numbers and if the producer makes profit, that is good. But fixing on a number and running behind it, I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think the worry is always losing money for your producer.
Sure.
For most of us, that kind of is I would imagine. You want
They're
to
operating at a very small
make sure
scale.
that everybody who's put in money into your film has made money. Now, I'm sure everybody wants to be in the 1,000 crore club. It's not something
That
anyone will say
inspires
no
us.
to. Huh?
That inspires us.
Inspires us. I mean, it's amazing to have a huge box office success, of course.
But I think also the thing, right? Like if you see most of these films who have crossed, like Kalki's made on a huge budget, they needed to reach that number to really make money and check on the other one. Then Pushpa also a lot of money. There's a news that Allu Arjun only got 300 crores for the film. So they also it was mounted at a scale to go there. It's like Kantara films, like Kantara was 3 2. Maybe if they had done 200, 300, 400 crores, even that would have been sufficed. Like they did the best they could. But they just exceeded everyone's thought and they just went on crazy. So even those kind of smaller films which do so big, like a Munjia, a very small film, you can say 20, 25 crores, they went on to make 100 crores. So that's a big, thing. So, but even that film has a VFX CG character, and you expect that kind of films to do well. But it's not, these films which you're talking about are not made to be at a scale to reach that number.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's, for most creative people, the driving kind of desire when you start making a film. You really want your film to connect and you hope that, the film will do well. But yeah, I don't know. Thinking of the box office is a bit scary.
It is.
Yeah.
It is also how it's become everyday conversation.
Yeah.
Right? My mother now knows
Exactly.
about 1,000 crores.
But your mother is a writer and she's written movies and she's been in the film industry. But even people that
Regular
are
people.
auto rickshaw drivers
Yeah.
are talking not about the film but
About how much
ye
it made.
kitna
How
mara,
much?
Mara.
kitna crore mara, and stuff like that. Everybody and their uncle
Yeah.
in the smallest of this town in this country are talking about the box office returns.
For instance, Jab We Met, which is one of my favorite films of all time, I don't know what it made. I have no idea what it made.
And
But it's
neither do
just
I.
it's just one of, it's a classic. It's a film
It
that
is.
is so loved.
Yeah. No, and guys, this is not in any way a bad thing. It's a great thing. We need people in
Yeah, yeah.
theaters. We want films to be successful. I'm just saying, as creative artists, Venky,
Yeah.
it's inspiring.
It's definitely inspiring, but I wouldn't take it as a pressure. As Kiran ma'am said, end of the day, it all depends on how much the producer made. My first target would be producer's break even, then his profit. When he makes profit, everyone is happy. So we have to set the target.
Clear target. Yeah. It should not be that I have to break 1,000 crores. It should be like my producer should make the money and I should have money if you're making a part 2, or like it should be so successful that next time I can get to make one more movie.
Film, not when you start comparing your film with other films, that's when you will never be happy. The only problem the problem that I see is when films like KGF or Pushpa, they do this huge numbers. When we go to a producer, a conventional producer, they ask, why can't you come up with something like Pushpa? Why can't you come up something with something like KGF or Kantara? See, when KGF or Kantara or even Pushpa was made,
When they were made, they were not made so because someone else made that, so they are making it. They were made because they were unique and they wanted to do something different. Exactly. Good
they
point.
didn't come with a ambition that, mera film itna karega.
Yeah.
Sure.
So when you just try to,
Imitate.
when a producer tries to put
Chase
this
that.
idea
Yeah.
into your head, that's when the pressure steps in.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when you fail in your intent,
Yes, exactly.
right? Because the intention is wrong.
No matter, even when you just go with a Ben-Hur, when he wants a Pushpa, he wouldn't like the film.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the things also is that box office for films that are slow to pick up and for word of mouth to build, it's really a difficult thing to, like he said, compete with like any of these big films, because all our films want time, in cinemas. You want people to be able to go.
Yeah.
And
This is also an issue, right? Because if every film is you are judging the film by how much it made and not by if the film is good or not, then suddenly not every film is gonna make 60, 70 crores on the day one, right? That may be their final thing. If they run for 3-4 weeks, that will be the final number they come to. But 3 4 weeks they're not getting because it's termed as failure, flop, wait for OTT. No one is going to watch them, and then they come on OTT and like, oh, I missed it. Let's GPay the director. So okay, nice. See how I brought it back.
Because we don't have enough cinemas, our film is always running the risk of not being in cinemas long enough, and then you're constantly up against that weekend blockbuster. So for directors, it's a bit of a pressure. I mean, honestly, like this idea that why can't you make a Kantara or something is because even producers think that that first week is when they're going to actually make any money. After that, your share falls.
Yeah.
They don't make as much, even if your film ran a long time, but we made not much because...
Just to explain this, it's like when the first week, how much money the film makes, it's like 50-50 between the producer and the distributors, right? And the longer the film runs, the cut for the producer keeps going down, and the cut for the distributor keeps rising. So for a longer the film runs, it's beneficial for the distributor, and the more money the film makes in the initial days, that's beneficial for the producer. So that's how, and most of the time that's the way the shares work. So everyone gets benefit for it.
It doesn't come to you, so it's a tricky thing, especially as directors. You don't want to. You just want your people to be able to watch your film long term and not in just that first week.
Yeah.
It's becoming a bit like share bazaar, like speculation and stocks and what will be the opening, how many. So it's that the business and the conversation of business is quite a lot. And what happens is that, actors, directors, people who have no business to think about all this feel that it's fashionable to say so.
Yeah.
But we should always empathize with those small films which struggle to get made, which actually struggle to get to theaters. The kind of mindset that they all will be in, to fetch those 4 crores or 5 crores to get that film made, and then to find a releasing partner, distributor, and to finally make, sometimes they may get lost in these conversations. Absolutely. And finally we may end up facing a situation where we don't find those little precious gems which are directly from the heart.
Yeah.
So exactly. I think that and it should not be told that, no, there is another platform for it. There's another medium for it. It's not that way.
No, but not to say that the big film is not from the heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel that Pushpa 2, or I've not seen Pushpa 2 or Pushpa 1, but I feel that it must be from the heart.
No, it comes from a place of absolute conviction.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So,
but there tends to be this sense that there's a certain thing that works, and then there's a pressure that, like he said, this formulaicness that you want to be, if you want to make that sort of big ticket blockbuster film, there's then a formula which as directors you want to be telling stories that you feel strongly about. So I think box office is just like a pressure. It feels like you just want people to watch your film and have an opportunity to go.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've realized also ticket prices are just so forbidding for most people.
Yeah, that's true.
The one day my first week or the end of the first week, it was Women's Day and we made it 99 rupees across the country. The theaters were full. Yeah, because all of us actually just want people to be able to watch our films.
Yeah.
I think more than ticket prices, it's the popcorn that's forbidding people.
It's $4.25, $4.50 for popcorn,
And
$3.50
you don't even have a small pack. You have to take that big pack. I don't know. I don't understand that logic.
I miss the days of like simply packed potato chips in Giddy Galaxy and samosas.
Yeah.
And the fried pali.
Yeah.
espresso coffee.
Indeed. Okay.
Everything, like if they all go to watch a movie in theater and everyone order popcorn, coffee, they're gonna be like paying 8,000, 9,000 rupees.
I have one last question that I would love for all of you to answer. And Imtiaz, I would love to again start with you.
Oh.
What are you doing next? What can you tell us about Idiots of Istanbul?
Oh.
This announcement
Is it Fafa film?
But it's like a little ahead of its time. And
Is that name?
yeah.
It is Idiots of Istanbul.
There is a movie, but I don't know. It might not be the next one up. But yes, I've been trying to make this film for a long time. It's called The Idiot of Istanbul.
Oh, one
Okay.
idiot. It's a singular.
An idiot.
Okay.
The Idiot of Istanbul.
Okay.
Right. So,
And so is that the next one?
maybe not.
Is this the Fahad film?
I would like it, yeah. Yeah, I would love to do this. And
Okay, so it's not confirmed. They're still in the talks. Okay.
since you've cornered me, I don't know why I'm not supposed to say this, but yes, my plan is to make this film with Fahad.
Lovely.
But when it'll happen is not really. Yeah, we have to figure it out. Might not be the next one up.
Okay.
Nice. Prem, for you?
Yeah. Currently, I'm writing the sequel of 96.
Oh.
Oh my God.
I've already written like 3/4 of the script. So I'm
Like, is it continuation or like?
continuing the writing part.
Do you know how many sleepless nights I've had because Ram and Janu are not together?
I'm sorry.
You should be. I'm sure there are many like me.
Yeah.
You know, I was like haunted by it. When I met Trisha, I'm like, what was that? Why aren't you together? She was like, this is not my thing. That's amazing.
I mean, something happened. Like an old lady, like she came to me. She said, "Please come close to me." I thought she's going to, appreciate or something. She gave one tappad.
No way.
Yes.
You got slapped?
I got slapped, but it didn't pain. She said, "Why did you do this?" Then she kissed me on the cheek.
Amazing. So there is hope.
Yes, yeah. So I'm writing it now. So that's why I'm staying in Kochi for the writing process. So there is another script which is also, cooking up. So that's an adventure survival drama.
Oh.
Both are happening.
Nice.
Most probably a 96 sequel will be my next movie.
Fab. Kiran?
I'm trying to write a supernatural film next.
I love that.
Yeah. Let's see where it goes.
Bhoot Paret.
Yeah, creatures, I hope some.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And you're writing this yourself?
I'm writing this myself at the moment. I probably will bring someone on at some point, but
Christo?
I'm currently showrunning and directing a series in Hindi
Oh.
for a platform.
Can you tell us anything?
No, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't tell more, but hopefully it'll go on floors later next year. And I'm working on a bunch of other things. I want to make something that's completely different from Ullurku. So I'm working on a rom-com. I'm working on a thriller in both Hindi and Malayalam. So unlike
Nice.
most people here, I take a long time to write. And my writing process is working from 9 in the morning till 6 in the evening, and it's like going to a job and sitting there and just being frustrated at not being able to write a word. So that is my process like. So right now I'm trying to work with more writers so that it becomes much more collaborative and it's less lonely and less depressing. So I'm also able to work on multiple things at the same time. So yeah.
Nice.
That's funny.
Same, Bapre.
Multiple.
Yeah, no, multiple, and you getting someone in the
into
room
room
is so
to-
much better actually.
Yeah.
I've realized you take much less time than me. I took like 13 years between my two films.
Yeah. Also, I think it's
yeah.
also much more fun when you're
Yeah.
kind of discussing,
Brainstorming.
brainstorming.
Yeah, yeah.
You laugh and you have fun, and
Yeah.
they come with ideas and
But it's also hard to find that right, chemistry with the right person, and you don't want to end up with the wrong company and then it doesn't work out.
much faster.
Sure.
New ideas come at a much faster pace, is what I feel.
Thank you.
So I'm planning to take a writing holiday for like 8 months, and I have a target of
8
finishing 4 scripts. One is a biography, one is a cop drama, and one is a rom-com. And so one, I wanted to do something like Lamhe for a very long time.
Of course.
Yeah. So I just want to finish these scripts first.
So for 8 months, you're going to be writing.
That's it. And then pitching stories to people.
Wow.
Okay.
And you, Rajkumar?
My next is going to be with actor Dhanush sir. So it's an exciting collaboration. My previous film was about a hero. I mean, he's a Gallantry Award recipient. The next would be about many unsung heroes who blend in within the society, who we are not aware of. Such a representation would be the protagonist. and that's about it. It is being produced by Gopuram Films, an investor turned producer, Mr. Angucheyan sir. So this is a new setup. I'm very excited about it, and I'm looking forward to a lot of collaborations this year. Yes,
Nice.
ma'am. That's
There's also a Hindi version he's not talking about, but okay.
How lovely. Cannot wait for all of this to happen. Kiran, I'm looking at you. No longer breaks of 13 years.
Promise.
Please, please. We need you all to be telling stories. We need Ram and Janu to get together. Just slipping it in there. But thank you. Thank you so much. This was so lovely. And please keep us entertained and happy as you've done so far. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was long. I'm kind of back is hurting, but also the light is off, no AC. I know a lot of places in the country it's too cold, but not here. But yeah, we'll wrap it up quickly. But it was fun getting to know, the timestamps for this video. So I'll just go through all of them quickly. 20 years of Imtiaz Ali, that was there. Talking about the getting the performances out, and it was interesting how much you write it and how much you let the actor, like some say that we just get the actor and they should know how to do it, like and we are paying them, they should know what is asked from the script and do it, and some people write everything beat by beat, that's what they want exactly from them. So it was nice knowing how they talk about it. The test screening, editing, that was Meiyazhagan was very weird, that after release they had to cut it out, and it was actually not the right thing to do in a way. The director feels that way, so that's, and test screening, I think for a mainstream films, I think it makes sense more, because you have at the end of the day reach out to more people, so it's better to get the idea if it's working or not. On the set challenges, I think everyone faces them, and it's all about problem solving, it's all about management of people, that's it. You're actually not telling a story, you're hiring these people to tell the story for you, and you are just managing them. That's what I feel about it. Staying calm on the set, shooting sequences, how they writing process, that was taking, as I said, some people want that time, just flow, you're in the flow, you're just writing everything, and suddenly if you don't do it right, then if you delay it, suddenly you just lose that flow, and you like not getting it, and it's not working out, and you don't feel connected then anymore. Adding cheese to the films, I think that's just making a scene, how to put it, like cheese can be, okay, this scene could be this, but let's do something more special in this to make it enhance it in a way. It could be anything. Then producers, budgets, reality checks. Yeah, I think all of them, with the box office thing also, they don't come in that segment. But yeah, box office has definitely changed things, and yeah, OTT and theater divide has become more now, because if you're not making big money, don't go to box office. So that needs to change. Any film should be able to come on theaters. And upcoming projects, very interesting. 96, I know man, 96 is special because it doesn't have a happy ending, but hopefully he has something more to do with the story, so he's continuing it, and it hopefully doesn't become like doesn't make the legacy of that film hamper that. I hope so. That's my thing. But yeah, very interesting projects from them, all of them coming soon. And again, a great roundtable, end of the year almost, and it's almost end of the year. The best films of the year videos are in the work, so if you want to see them, check on the main channel. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. You can check out this video next, and I will see you next time.